And now it's time for Getting Real Cleveland. And I am your host. That's right, the host with the most, Doug Duke, aka the self-proclaimed greatest influencer in the world. Have you heard that? You all should have. Everybody knows that, right? Right, world? Welcome to Getting Real Cleveland. I am here with Mr. Cleveland Film, as always, Mike Went. How you doing?
Doug, I'm doing great. We actually we sat in the cinema together at one point this weekend, so I know we will talk about that in a future episode. But really glad that we're going to be talking about this one, and I know we already have a returning guest.
That's right. There he is. Styles Wolf Baker. Man, I wish I had a nickname already, but nothing hit my head, so I'll just call you by your real name. Welcome back to yet another Michael Mann podcast.
Dream much, Doug?
Damn, man, you're really waiting on that one. I loved it.
Lovely to be back. Nice to see both of you again. And yeah, Manhunter is oh, did we say the title yet?
Oh, you sure did. You sure quoted it.
Yeah, looking to really get into the film.
Yeah, and like I don't know if everybody knows or all of you know out there, but when we're doing this and he's here, it's Styles' show. Because he already let the cat out of the bag. But yeah, that's right. We wanted to get there anyway. We saw Manhunter, the final cut. We must say that.
Yes.
Manhunter, the final cut. We did not go together on this one, but we did go to the same theater, which is the Cleveland Cinematheque out here.
Yeah.
Um,
And it might be playing in a theater or repertory theater near you, as it's been kind of slowly making its way out. I think since it says like July 24th is when it started kind of playing. So, check it out if you can, near
yeah.
you.
Absolutely. I mean, this is an all-time movie, and I don't think there's any debate in that at this point in this world. And its 40th anniversary. That's why this is out. The 4K is coming out. This is the 4K restoration. I had seen it in theaters at the Arrow back in October of 2023, and Michael Mann was there and he surprised us with his personal 70 millimeter print, and that was actually fan fucking tastic. Uh, that was a great day for me to revisit that film and that Q&A. He literally brought up that this movie was coming out on 4K because I think somebody asked, and he said they were working on it. So think about that. It took it's 3 years. I mean, technically the physical media is not out yet because we're doing the theater thing, but wow. I mean, what a journey. So we're going to talk about that, but I mean, overall, we want to talk about the movie. And this is what's great about Styles here. Styles is not a fan of these director's cuts. And it's just really interesting how many iterations this movie is actually went through. Which I guess maybe we can just start there because it's there's just so much there for that before we really like get into the meat and potatoes of this fucking masterpiece, as I like to call them, mansterpieces. But well, Styles, why don't you go ahead and like kick us off with some words about all these iterate. You know a little bit more, I feel, of the iterations of this movie.
Yeah, and yeah, sorry to say the title before you did. I
No, you're
apologize.
fine, dude. You're good. Nobody cares.
Okay. No, Doug, people care. That's the whole thing. That's people do
Oh,
care.
okay. Man, we
But
do.
yeah, Manhunter, a lot like Miami Vice was a real to be honest, all of Mann's films, and I don't know. I've been of the opinion for like a very long time outside of Michael Mann. I mean, there are some movies out there that you kind of just need to watch 5 times to even like crack the nut of like what's going on. And there's myriad factors: how old you are when you see it, who how many what's your film literacy when you see it, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these types of things about how something enters your consciousness, right?
Hmm.
And like I just said, much like with a lot of man stuff, I saw Manhunter, I don't know, years and years ago, probably in high school, and I was kind of just like, oh yeah, like that cop movie. Wrong. um, and um, and it really developed, and kind of as we talked about on like the Miami Vice episode, there was this kind of uh learning curve or something about like almost like how to watch it. And I'm not saying that because it's this ultra uh well, it's complex in a way, but it's not like playing mind games in terms of like what it's showing you, although the film is literally about mind games.
Very true.
And yeah, just like Miami Vice, just like all of his other work, just a movie like Eyes Wide Shut, for just I'll just that's a random example. You see that movie when you're 17, you don't understand that movie when you're that age at all. Like you might like it, you might whatever, and I'm not even suggesting I understand it or have a complete understanding or whatever. I'm just saying, as I said, like, when certain films like enter your life, they might not click right away. And something about Manhunter, again, a little bit like Miami Vice, on like the surface, it is just this like cop thing, detective, procedural. You could use a couple different words to sort of describe it,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
you watch it again, and it still like reveals stuff. And I mentioned I do have notes, but what I really found myself doing was I'm like, oh, that line, oh, that scene, oh, that shot, da, da, da. And I realized I'm just writing down the whole movie because every scene, every line of dialogue is so uh it's so dense in a good way, and so detail oriented, where you're just like every line is like slotted in like a I don't know, like a perfect puzzle or something. And then in terms of the versions, so I guess that's pretty important. I have not seen the what is dubbed the final cut, which is what you guys just saw, the
Mhm.
2016 version. Um,
2026.
what did I? Oh, it's
20.
2026.
Dude,
Sorry.
I did that on the last podcast. I was talking about our screenings of Miami Vice, and I literally said like 2003 and 2004. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry.
Time
So
is
the
luck. What is time?
yes. Oh, we'll get to that, by the way. So yes, the current version that you guys saw, the 2026, I said that right? Version, which I have not seen actually yet. So all of my commentary is going to essentially reference like the theatrical cut. Now, this one is one of those Michael Mann cuts where if you've heard about like the Black Hat director's cut, he like, which I have not seen the director's cut of that either yet. I
I
intend to,
I
but
have I
he
have it. I have it back here.
but it's not like little cuts and little different shots. He like rearranges the movie almost. Uh, the Manhunter director versus theatrical cut, as I understand it, is more or less identical, other than a random scene will cut to a wide shot instead of a medium, or he trims a few frames off of a shot, or the biggest one is a scene towards the end, which we can get to, which is retained in the final cut, which is what you guys saw.
Yeah, I confirm that with you. Yeah. But yeah, that was something. And then like the title, I remember that threw me off because I was like, it just stayed white. And I'm pretty sure I just watched this movie again last year, just at home. And I remember it turned, that title turns green and it's awesome. And it didn't do that. And I was like, huh.
Did you notice um I thought it was slightly out of focus when the title popped up on when I saw it. I mean, and obviously it was digital, so I
Yeah.
don't think there was any like fussing with with the lens or anything, but I don't know.
Is it
That's how it looked like to me.
Interesting. No, I didn't notice that there. I noticed a couple hiccups that I mentioned to you in person, I think when we were seeing Silent, or later that night when we were hanging out after Silent Movie.
Mhm.
There was a couple, like, it just felt like some buffering issues, like like on the DCP possibly. There was just like a little, like a frame like went away. Like Tom Noonan was like looking down and then all of a sudden he's looking up.
Yeah,
And I
weird
like,
jump cut.
seriously, yeah, and it literally just seemed like it was like a, like a file issue, not
Yeah.
that's
not like this is what's going to happen when it's actually out on 4K or whatever.
Yeah.
that's interesting because I wasn't at your screening and so I can't, I don't know exactly what you saw, but there are a couple um what's the right word? There are a couple unusual edits in this movie, and I don't know at what point that issue happened, but I mean, to literally jump to the very end of the film, in the shootout, he does do these like kind of like double edits, like Dollarhide like fires the gun, hits the guy, and then it cuts back to Dollarhide and fires the gun at the same guy again.
Oh. I
So
Mm.
I don't know.
I actually noticed that. That's not what I was talking about though. I
Oh,
really do
okay,
think it
okay.
was something, perhaps a file issue. I don't know though. But it was near, there was a moment near there where I think Noonan has
It's
Joan
a
Allen on the table and I feel like he's looking down and then I literally think like it just kind of like skipped for a second and then he was already looking up and it just didn't happen in motion. And then,
right.
and that's my crazy ass. So I know I catch this shit.
Um,
But yeah,
one.
so that added scene was there. Um, I don't know how I feel. I agreed. Me and Styles had a brief talk about this. I agree with you that I do feel it just, like it was just like, oh, what's happening now and why? Like it just like it does feel like a little disruptive of the pace in a way. But
Right.
but also at the end of the day, I don't I don't hate what he's saying about it. Maybe I
Mhm.
don't think it should be there. Uh, but it's also kind of like if you look at this 4K poster right now, it's literally like Tom Noonan, and then there's like a blue shadow of William Peterson, and it's very like, I mean, that's what it is, and it's also like that even goes to Friedkin's Cruisin' movie, which is very similar in that respect of like what that is. But yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. Like, but like, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, that's happening like the whole movie. Like the whole point is when Farina is talking to him at the beginning is, he obviously got too close to Lecter and Lecter literally like stabs him. And and then like that's why he's been away for so long and he doesn't want to pull me back in. But 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 because he mentions like, he's still carried around that way of thinking. So yeah, that's kind of like what that added scene, I guess, which is in the director's cut and it is now also in the final cut, adds to the ending of the movie. Whereas I think what Styles is used to, and I've seen this before. I honestly don't even remember if that was in. I think it probably was if it was like his personal 70 millimeter print that day. Uh, but yeah, like after the big amazing ending to this movie, it just kind of cuts to him at home on the beach, and like that's the theatrical ending, right, Styles?
Yeah, and I'm so jealous you made it to that. I should have gone, but who knows? That's so cool. That's 70. And in fact, I think they talk about it, on the Min Hunter, the Blake Howard podcast, that like it was supposed to be 35 and they came out and kind of introed it and they're like, sorry, we can't show the 35, and everyone's kind of like, oh, we're doing the 70. Was that the screening? Okay.
That's what happened. We all were like,
That's
"What?
that's like a
No!"
yeah, well, dude,
And then yeah.
that is now like sort of a piece of lore about kind of this movie and its screenings and etc.
Oh shit! I didn't even know.
Here's
Uh,
here
I was
here's
there.
a here's two things. Okay, we'll dive into the movie. Here's two pieces of info that I think are interesting that are like pre even movie. Uh, our beloved David Lynch was attached to this film before Michael Mann was,
Wow.
which was kind of a crazy piece of info that I found.
Yeah, I never knew that
Because
actually.
because Dino De Laurentiis produced this. Lynch had worked with him on Dune, which was
Mhm.
prior to this, and so just meaning like they, Lynch and De Laurentiis were like in business together and whatnot, and he, again, allegedly, I've seen sort of like slightly differing quotes, but allegedly David Lynch found this quote too dark and depraved and left, the project. This is early on, who knows what the script or whatever looked like. But the irony is that in the same calendar year, he releases Blue Velvet, where he created Frank Booth, one of like the sickest, whacked out,
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, he's legitimately one of the most terrifying characters of all
Yeah.
time.
But Lecter or whatever was too intense.
Or the Tooth Fairy was
The
intense.
Tooth Fairy. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah, I know. I
that's
know.
right. And then, sorry, I said that because I'm looking at notes. Interestingly, and I don't know why this is, I have no answer for this. In this film, Lecter's last name is spelled Lecktor. And in every other Hannibal Lecter movie, it's spelled Lecter, Lecter. I have no idea. Here's the evidence. This is where you get the theatrical cut of Manhunter these
Oh,
days.
really?
The
The
Lecter collection.
Lecter Collection
as
Blu-ray,
as
huh?
as as soon as they announced this final cut thing, I'm like, I need to find the original cut and have that.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
I too have, well, I have this Anchor Bay
Okay,
DVD,
yeah. This is
which,
the collection is the one that's like still in print. I think there's a also, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, well, I was gonna say this one, it's so it says this one came out in 2000, but basically all over it, it's like they mention Lecter's name many times on this on this disc. It's just
Hmm.
like,
Is there
hey,
no
if you want to
T in
get
it?
your, what's that?
There's a T in it, right?
There
Or no?
is. There is. So there's
Okay.
no K.
Okay.
They kind of like, they're like, all right, forget that. But
That
then
is weird
also on the
because like
back, it's like
because you're
it
right,
talks
in the
about,
movie there's a K.
yeah, it talks about Silence of the Lambs a bunch on this, on this disc. But I bought this not too long after seeing Red Dragon, the 2003 remake or whatever. Yeah, and I just remember then reading a lot of articles. I think like Ebert had one where he's just like, this one is fine. See Manhunter. So that's what like made me seek out this back in college when I
Right.
saw it.
I
So
remember I remember growing up, just going to the video stores and always seeing that. And then like, when Silence comes out, because Silence is like 91, right? So I was still so young. But I just always remember the talk because obviously that ends up taking over because Anthony Hopkins, wins an Oscar as well. And I mean, and it's a huge movie. It's a great movie as well. I mean, they're obviously similar. I mean, they're both based on the books, I guess. So they're both similar where, like someone needs the help of Hannibal Lecter to catch a serial killer, right? Um, but just I just like remember that talk back then, and it was like Manhunter was like almost like at least in that era, or at least for a while, it even probably carried through the 90s and maybe even the early 2000s. It was always like I feel like for at least the people around me and the people that I talked to, and like it was always just like, well, Silence of the Lambs, Silence of the Lambs, and I don't remember exactly when I came back around to Manhunter. Obviously during this Michael Mann renaissance I've had in my life that's been going on for 20 plus years. Uh, I just remember finally getting there. I did, what? I did also see this with Mann as well at the Egyptian. Shit, man, it like in the 20, somewhere between 2010 and 12, I'd say. I forget when, and I remember that being like that was probably one of the first times I had seen it in a long time at that point. And unfortunately, some fucking dipshit like raise his hand and ask a question. That's why it's like sometimes don't open it up to the audience. And he basically asked him, he was asking him like, like basically he was like saying something like, do you like the ending doesn't really like maybe hold up? Do you think it's like cheesy? He was like saying like it's like cheesy, like his action scenes or whatever. And everybody just was like, boo. Like some people, everybody was just like, no, like sit down, like booing him. And man didn't really even hear him. And I was like close enough to where I was like near the Q&A, and I saw him like man like look in, and he was like, what'd he say? What'd he say? And the guy like told him what he said, and he was like, nah. And then and like how shitty that is, and like and also we just watched this a handful of days ago. That ending is unbelievable. And like this movie is very restrained in a way, action wise, to everything. Well, I don't want to say everything else, but there's really only the ending scene for the most part, and a couple terrifying moments with Noonan.
Yeah. One the other sort of like when I mentioned the thing about Lynch and like before the film even got made, the other thing to your to the whole Silence of the Lambs, the whole Lecter, I mean the Lecter collection, it's now,
Yeah.
it's a there's a branding thing. I mean, the whole okay, how do true crime and like the whole serial killer thing and Netflix documentaries and etc. And all, not to call out Netflix, but just every the whole thing, all the podcasts, all the documentaries, all the stuff about all the things that didn't exist when this film came out. We are now like so steeped in like that culture, and for the last 40 years, um, and it's gotten even. So what I wanted to mention about again, like a little bit of the history is that. So did you guys ever watch Mind Hunter, which literally is the title like references this movie, the David Fincher series on
Oh yeah,
Netflix?
absolutely.
I don't think I watched it actually.
Okay, well, so that's just the illustration. That is a series about the first FBI profilers of serial killers. Like there was the whole 70s rise of serial killers, et cetera. I don't need to name all their names, but the idea of, I mean, back in the day when somebody killed somebody, it was like, oh, because revenge or they're crazy, and there's no like learning about it. There's no attempt to sort of pathologize or like understand why someone is a killer, and especially in like the Dollarhide situation and other real life scenarios, why someone like the term serial killer didn't exist until the late 70s. And what that series is about the origins of that. I forget their name, but a guy who worked with the in the FBI wrote a book in like the mid 90s about his experience basically developing all of this stuff, which hopefully this isn't too long-winded, but like he created the whole not created, but developed the idea of profiling a serial killer, their motives, their psychology. Psychology is a huge element of this film. Um, in the late 70s, the book Red Dragon was written, I think, 1981. So basically, just after this whole concept about like what motivates these people, what drives them, their dreams, what they believe, their personalities, their experiences that have led them to commit, heinous acts was really new. That was like a new thing, just a little bit after like the development of this real life, way to investigate these crimes. And it took 5, 6 years. Manhunter is 86 to get made, but it really was one of the. There were other, French Connection, procedural type stuff. But it was really one of the first films to like really dive into the profiling of a serial killer, I think in cinema. I could be missing like an example, but I just think that's a really interesting thing to think about because at the time, Doug, to your point, isn't some of this cheesy? Haven't we seen a million things about serial killers? When this thing came out, it was new. It was like no one had heard of this stuff,
Right. Yeah.
which
Well,
just puts it
I
into
think
an
he was
interesting
I think well
context.
on the cheesy thing, I think that kid specifically was calling out like the gunshot, like the slow-mo thing. And it's also like
Okay.
it was also like, well, you don't like Sam Peckinpah either, you piece of shit. Um, no, but no, that's man, that was awesome with everything that you just said. That was, I didn't even like really think about that myself. Like that's so true. And again, like everything that you just said, the details, like I mean, my God, man, like, and again, because we're so into him as a filmmaker, like, I mean, this movie is so fucking great, man. Like it just I do know it better now. Like I haven't seen it as much as like, like Heat, Ali, Insider, Miami Vice, Collateral, even like Public Enemies at this point, and now like Thief. Those I've seen like the most, like a lot, like an absurd amount of times that most people don't, even see a movie, perhaps even once any of these. Um, but yeah, Manhunter, I'm probably up to at least like, I don't know, 6, 8 times, like overall. So I get it now. And it's just like immediate when it started again to jump back to like on the beach, Farina and Peterson, like just that opening scene is so fucking good. And the way he like lays that picture in and and like he even calls it on him and then there's just like he's out there with his kid and then like Farina and his wife and she's like, I thought you were his friend. um
Yeah, I love that's an amazing opening scene, and like I love again, I feel like I've read maybe there was some slight there was an interview with Mann recently where he said he removed some lines of dialogue, and I don't know what those are, so I might say a line and you're like,
Oh,
"What?"
oh, I did read. I didn't still get too deep into this yet of like what exactly. I mean, I kind of skimmed it when I got home that day. But he did take out the wife's line, "Time is luck." Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh my
I read
God.
that and then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that wasn't in
I
there. Yeah.
I have that written down. Something flickered across your face like a shadow. Time is luck, Will. Oh my God.
I know, which is like insane. Was he like, okay, I've used this too much in my career, but also it's like this is like the first one, maybe.
Mhm.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
is it in
I
the Keep? Is it is it in Thief? I don't think it's in Thief.
But yeah, back to the opening scene. Well, actually, that's not the opening scene. I actually think the first
Oh
shot
right.
of this movie is a little bit odd. It's just the top of Dollarhide's like van, and you just see the lights, and it's just I think it's interesting because it like immediately puts you, it's like you don't know what you're looking at, but like later on when you see the van, you're like, oh, and like it's putting you into like Dollarhide's perspective. But then there's the credits, and then yeah, the beach scene, and there's just a couple things I wanted to note on the beach scene, which is at least in the theatrical version, titles are still going. The sound fades down, meaning the score, like that synth, which my God, the score is immaculate in this whole film, including the needle drops, which we'll get to. But the synth score shrinks down, and then it like it's a very almost like Terrence Malick style thing where it like fades in just like the sound of the waves and like the birds, and it's like very environmental sound. And then you don't realize you're looking at a shot because it just fills the screen with blue, and then it tilts down. Filmmakers will appreciate that. Tilts down to them sitting on the tree, and of course we know Mann loves staring out at the sea, and I love that line. He's Farina and Peterson will. He's trying to get him to come back, and but Farina's kind of like dancing around it a little bit, and Peterson. I love the line. Don't try to run a game down on me, Jack. It's just
Yeah,
off
so
the
good.
tongue, man. It rolls off so good. Um, And then when Molly is walking towards them, and Farina says, he just says, "Hey, Molly," and she doesn't even look at him. It no reaction to him at all because Will has been through like this traumatic thing, and he's found this. We talked about in the last episode. I mean, he's obsessed with water. Water is like the freedom. They live on the beach. When later in the film, when he literally has a dream about his life, he's working on a boat. Like he's all about the water. And they're sitting on that amazing tree. I don't know. And then this is a thing that Mann develops in the Insider and basically everything post that. But like those wide shots, like when they're sitting on the tree, like Will's chest is like filling up like this much of the frame, but on that side of the frame, it like goes into like forever. It's really interesting. He does that a lot in the Insider with like that right next to the
Yeah.
ear type shots and whatnot. And then yeah, when she says you were supposed to be his friend, and it cuts to boom, that shot of that must have been so insane in the theater. The shot of the ocean
Oh yeah.
with the sunset, and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh man, we are once again wide open ocean, freedom, beauty, this whole like life that he has and wants to hold on to, but
Yeah, I think he even
then the rest
says
of the movie rolls out.
yeah, I think he even says in bed like he's like we have it pretty good, right? Says
Oh
something
my
like
God.
that. And
There's a
and
shot. Go
and
ahead, go
she's
ahead.
no, no, I think he just well, I was just saying, I think he just says that, and then and he's like, well, what if I do? They won't know, and she's like, well, it sounds like you already like made up your mind. Like it sounds like you're not asking, like you're basically telling.
Just doing,
Um, yeah,
And there's a moment in that scene that it like I'm getting like goosebumps just thinking about it. It is so incredible. It's exactly that. It's that like day for night with like the shimmering, you see the water out the window, it's all blue, they're rolling around, the dialogue you just said. And then she's kind of like cradling him, but the shot is on her, but she's kind of like holding him, and the synth kind of like plateaus to this like just like oh, and then she does this little one movement. Her eye like flicks up, and she's like looking out the window, and as soon as that happens, the synth score kicks in, bing, 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 bing. And it's just, and that's a horrible impression, but it like gives me chills, man, because she knows what's going on. She wants to support him, but she also knows where this could like end up. And
yeah.
so, yeah,
And then
I've been talking a lot. Mike, take it
and
away, man.
well, no, I just yeah, I know I spoke about it on the Miami Vice pod, but his eye for casting and Dennis Farina, it actually just seeing him on the screen the other day, it just made me miss him so much. Because I know he's been gone now for maybe a little over a decade at this point, but he was just sometimes like even if he was just like a small part, he always made it memorable. In this thing, it's like he's immediately in this, and it's like, a lot of times the camera's pretty close on him, and his face is not perfect. He's not like your typical Hollywood look. But there's just something about him, his presence that made me feel like I'm like, all right, we're in good hands here. Like this is, it just
For
feels like so good to see him on there. So I just wanted to throw that in there before we talked about anything else.
well, Farina's an ex-cop.
yeah, I was yeah, former Chicago cop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and he used him with Thief first,
Mhm.
and then he just like starts talking to these people and working with them, and then next thing you know, he's like, well, now you're in it. And then also like that even spawned, Farina doing that crime story show.
Mhm.
And Farina's in Midnight Run as well, obviously. And yeah, man, Dennis Farina. But specifically though, he is so fantastic in Manhunter. Um, there was a moment I went with my buddy John, shout out to John. He's a soldier of cinema. He when Farina has that moment with the Atlanta cops when like, Will has them like run fingerprints again, and then they actually find something. And like the way the fucking Farina gives the like the head guy a look, and then he just even like turns and looks at the other guy. It's just like there's just like this longing look, and it's just like he's like you know what I mean? He doesn't say anything. It's just a look, and you just know, and especially with him, you can just imagine him just being like, "You stupid fucks, you dumb fucking bricks."
Yeah, that's one of the craziest things. And I mean now, so they're getting into the investigation. I mean, it is again, it is so dense, like the dialogue, and it's we talked about it with Vice. It like at some point it just starts kind of like washing over you, but when you watch it with subtitles and you're picking up every line, there is like no fat on what they're saying. They just and exactly that look that he gives them, he's just like, uh-huh, amateurs, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, he's like, that's why my guy's here now. He's like, that's why
right.
Will's here. He's like, that's why my guy's here. And I brought this up where I was like, when I say you know, Manhunter is kind of like young Hannah, and then like, Thief, James Caan's characters like like young Neil or whatever, and you kind of put those two types of characters together, and that's where you get, Hannah and Neil in Heat. And I realized when I said that too, I have Heat 2 in my head, so it is a younger Hannah, and I do think there's more detail in that book where it kind of mentions like Hannah is a manhunter. Like he all same thing. Like, and this is like a younger version of him, and he's like in Chicago in this in the book Heat 2, and probably the movie that'll eventually come out. So I think that also helped me in a way of just like how I always like kind of say that of you put like Thief and Manhunter together and you kind of get Heat. But yeah, I was just kind of watching it with those watching Manhunter with those eyes now, and just again because it is what Michael Mann just keeps chasing, like he keeps just his themes and everything are like it's a different story, different character, but like the same things are going on, and it's just very interesting how they are similar in a way. Will and Hannah have similarities, and then it made me go, oh, you know what? It was actually like kind of like the younger Hannah is more like what we're doing in Manhunter. It's just interesting shit, and like, and again, pro. I mean, look how fucking good Will is in this movie and finding his
Yeah.
guys, what he has to go through, and stepping back up with Hannibal, like that's insane. Like man, Brian Cox too. Again,
Mm.
Anthony Hopkins is always going to get the glory. Hey, man, Anthony Hopkins was also great, but Brian Cox is
L to
not
the
is
OG. Dude be the OG.
Brian Cox is incredible as Lecter. I love. There's so many things I love. I love, like when he's working with the phone and like how he like does that whole thing and like gets his address, which is, and just how cool, calm, and collected. And then of course there's like the iconic when his feet are up on the wall, he's like talking on the phone like a little schoolgirl. Like it's amazing, dude.
I
I looked it up. He's only in this movie for 9 minutes and
Yeah,
makes like perfect timing of all of those
yeah.
9 minutes that I mean, that it's so iconic. But yes, of course, everybody is going to think Anthony Hopkins.
But the same thing kind of happened with Hopkins. People talk about that a lot now too. Is like he's really only in Silence of the Lambs for like 15 to 18 minutes or something like that,
Mhm,
and he won an
mhm.
Oscar.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's natural to compare them because they are playing like the same character, but it's also a little bit kind of ridiculous to compare them because they're in two completely different styles of film. Like, uh, in my opinion, I love the Lecter in Manhunter because what's the line? You had certain disadvantages. What disadvantages? You're insane. But like
So good.
he doesn't do anything big. And that now we're gonna start drilling down into the I think some of the thematic stuff. It's like yes, later in the movie, Dollarhide does have some larger performance stuff going on. But I think what's so interesting about Lecter in this movie is that he doesn't raise his voice. He barely moves. It's totally down to earth. Um, as we get into like the psychology of like where Will is going into this darkness that he's experienced before and has to like get back to and to get his man, it's oh man, oh God, that scene, the first scene with them is filmed so. Who is in prison? He films it where they're both behind bars.
Yeah,
Arguably, there's less space in Will's area than in like Lecter's area.
that's
You
true.
know what I mean? And the other thing, and this is jumping ahead to a shot later in the film, but Doug, since you mentioned that Lecter stabbed him, bro, Lecter did not stab him. There's the shot when they go to Washington, D.C., and oh my God, this is a whole other huge theme and recurring visual motif of the whole film is looking through windows, looking through glass, touching glass. I think it literally shows the Washington Monument and it rack focuses to the reflection in the window of Will's torso. And you kind of, on first glance, you're kind of like, well, yeah, he's, this svelte dude looking good, whatever. Dude, I didn't even catch this maybe the first couple times I saw the film. That shot reveals the scar on his stomach, and it is not a stab, dude. It is like an S shape, like cart, like he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like gored, cut
right.
all the way open by Lecter. And so once you see that shot, then you think back to him going to see Lecter and even talking to him, and that's why he has the panic attack at the end of the
Right,
scene.
right. And
And go ahead, yeah.
no, I just to what you were saying, like who's in jail here because he still has to go guard, guard, get me out. So
Well, he still
Yeah.
has to live with like that darkness inside him, and even though he is constructed this lifestyle of sun and the water and his wife and his kid and everything, and they're building the habitat for the turtles, which I think is very important later in the film. Um, he has had like this goes the film suggests like a few times, and this goes to like the added scene or what I refer to as the added scene, but the director's cut scene at the end, because the director's cut scene at the end almost suggests like, is Will actually like the psychopath in all of this, and is his sunny life with his domestic life, is that the fantasy, is that the show he's putting on, when in reality he the film, I'm getting so all over the place and all over the
no, it's fine.
stuff, but
No, that's kind of what I've said. Why I kind of like, I, I, I like the idea of that. It just does feel like it's like just thrown in a way. But then, like, well, I mean, I guess obviously not because it's the final cut. But it's almost like you could have then, if that's where you wanted to go, which is fine. We've seen movies where it's like, okay, it's the end, and then we tack on this last scene. And if that was maybe the last scene and then it just went to credits, like, holy shit.
right, and it I, you know that both visually and thematically and just the character, that is what is happening. He is descending into like this darkness, like I love that line when he says, I'm going to see Lecter tomorrow. And he's like, why? He's like, to recover the mindset. Like that's how this guy is like thinking. And then
Yeah.
that ties into when he's with Lecter in the first meeting. It again, on a cursory watch, when Lecter says smell yourself, that it's almost like funny, or like why did he say that? But he says, if you want to read, I forget the exact line, but he says, if you want to get the scent back, meaning how you caught me by by entering like the mind frame of a serial killer, smell yourself because it's in you. And this is like a whole deep, like Jungian psychological like concept about like, you know, Full Metal Jacket, you know, you've got a peace sign and you've got a Born to Kill sticker. It's a Jungian thing. It's like holding the duality of humanity that exists within all of us inside you. And fuck yeah, I love that. Also love like, you haven't threatened to take away my books yet. What a line. Amazing. Like he's playing for Lecter, he's like playing a game. It's like a mental game for him, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's almost like
Yeah.
fun. And then what does he say later on when he makes that call with the gum that you mentioned, Doug? God, I have it written down somewhere. Well, zip that little pointer right down onto the letter G.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. Jump back to that. Brian Cox is phenomenal and deserves all the great, amazing credit for the first time Hannibal Lecter was on screen. It was already a masterpiece or masterclass in acting. Um, oh, also, I meant to do this a long time ago because God knows where we're at now. But when you said the opening scene and then it's like the beach, like the opening scene is Noonan's like POV like murder of the murder. Just like that fucking like is it almost just like are we meant to believe he's like recording it, right? Or
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's funny what again, I kind of just skimmed through and watched, but like weirdly, Halloween popped into my mind. A movie that is like an explicit horror movie, and I was like, huh, is Michael Mann like referencing Halloween, the opening of Halloween, a
Yeah, kind of.
POV shot through a house in order to kill somebody, you know, a murder. You don't see the actual murder in this instance. I mean, you see the aftermath later, but um
And then there's the amazing Will scene when he's like going through and visualizing everything and the way that he sees her with those like light eye like literally like lights coming out of her own eyes, like that imagery is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And then just all those times that Will is like saying like you son of a bitch like when he's pretending, to be there. I'm sure Styles, those exact lines.
I don't know if I have that one, but
It's like,
yeah,
didn't you son of a bitch? You watched them all night or
you
whatever.
watch them all damn day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When he's up in the tree and he's like, "Why the bolt cutter? Why cutting?" Oh God,
So fucking good, dude.
it's interesting. Just entering you talking about entering the house. Like the first time, um, the cop takes him there, and the cop goes, "Crawford said you want to be alone." That's right. Goes into the house on his own. But the interesting thing is that he's retracing the steps of Dollarhide, and this is where the linkage between Will and Dollarhide begins.
Yeah.
That he literally goes into the room and sees the blood on the wall, and then he makes a note, something about like why didn't you kill them immediately? Because you heard, they heard you moving to the children's bedroom, and like that's kind of the thing. You mentioned this earlier too, Doug. Like this movie, this movie is not about like the unlike Halloween, like the thrill of like a murder or a kill or whatever. You basically only see the aftermath, but the stuff that they describe just in dialogue. I mean, Dollarhide murders children in the first scene of this movie. You know what I mean? I mean, it's pretty. And when he writes that note to Lecter, he says after all of this stuff at the very end, he says like, "If it all goes well, I'll send you something wet." I mean, it's all kind it's like a little bit off screen, but like what the events of like what's going on here are like really pretty gnarly.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting, all of it. But yeah,
I
and also when he gets up to that room and just like the amount of blood that's still everywhere is like insane.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then he walks in the bathroom and there's this really crazy shot where Will it's like a how do I say it? It's like a vertical it's a mirror with like multiple like vertical like slats. I don't know the exact right word, but as he walks by, Will becomes visually splintered into like you see like three of his faces like And I
Yeah.
think this is like a visual thing about his psychological state. He is about to he has turned into someone else before. He's about to do it again. And it's like, again, like this visual storytelling about his psyche. And
Yeah.
where do we want to go from here? There's a million
Well, I
things.
want to,
Should we talk
Mike,
about the
what
star of the movie, Chris Elliott?
that definitely got some laughs in the theater. I think
Yeah,
people were like, "What the fuck?" Like it
it
was
was
like, "Yeah,
nice to see him in
Chris Elliott's in here."
That
Well,
I
Mike, like just like I don't. How long was it from the last time you saw Manhunter?
Oh, it's been a while.
So
So
how was your experience watching it the other night?
oh my God. I mean, it was great. I just love I mean, uh I sat in the third row because our pal Robert Banks likes to sit right there. So I did, it makes me pay attention more, but I really just was enamored with the cinematography this time. I mean, I've always been a fan of how it looks. But I just I the other thing is just the way how it is like it takes its time. It's that slow build, and then when you get to, and I don't want to jump ahead right to the ending, but when you get to that scene where he is running to the like the glass window, it was just like I almost wanted to just get up and cheer because like you've been kind of like there's like this like eeriness throughout this whole thing, and it's simmering up to that bam, and it fucking rocks. I mean,
I
so
mean,
that to me, it was like I was just really into it. Just because, not like, I mean, now I'm a very patient watcher, but it was just kind of like I was just getting so antsy, and I was waiting for something, and then bam, it hits you like a sucker punch in the gut,
right.
and that's the beauty of it, I think, and the brilliance of this movie, honestly.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I said, where like this one's like restrained in a way of a lot of other the man films that or more action in them. Like this
Hmm.
is really just the ending one for this one. And you're right, it is all about that build up and like as Styles mentioned, like use the word procedural and like and again at the time, like I mean 1986 this comes out like and my buddy John was like, this didn't have like favorable reviews back in the day, or it was pretty split, I guess, in a way, which is insane because like and again what Styles alluded to and the culture that we live in now with all like this is what everybody loves, and this movie has it all. It has the procedural, it has the serial killer side, which is like still something that we haven't delved into with Tom Noonan. And I remember looking at John at the end of the screening. I go, what I really love about this is he's not just, I mean, he's a monster. Tom Noonan's character, Dalahide, or I'm saying it wrong, but Tooth Fairy, right? That they say don't call him that. Uh, but he's obviously a monster. He's a serial killer. He sees the world in a different way, which is another moment that we an amazing moment in this movie. But the thing that I do love is it gives him empathy, or not, I don't know, is empathy the right word? It shows him be a human. It shows him
yeah,
human. All
yeah,
he's looking for is to be, as Will says in the movie a lot, is to be desired and wanted and looked at and all of that. And he gets it. He gets it from Joan Allen, who is a blind woman, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and when he puts her hand up and cries like you that's what I love
That's
about this movie because they could have they could have not had this like extra 10 minutes of this movie to show you that. They could have
Mhm.
just kept him the monster and it's like, yeah, he's the bad guy, we're gonna do it. And whatever, you're still gonna feel that way because of what he does, but just on an intellectual and like psychosis level, as Styles always keeps bringing up, like you actually see you know what I mean? You get all these things in those moments, and obviously there's the amazing tiger scene too. But yeah, I just love that
one of the
I
best
love that they
first
show
dates.
that.
One of
What?
the best first dates in cinema history.
that
Um, yeah,
that
no,
tiger scene's insane.
it's totally insane. And yeah, dude, everything you just said is I mean, I have in the past referred to this as like one of the saddest, most empathetic like serial killer movies ever, because that was another really interesting thing about the structure. Almost the first hour is just Graham and Lecter and the case and da da da. And then it does kind of like bifurcate and then start switching around after that. But it spends like a solid 20 minutes or something just with Dollarhide. And it's like you see his day to day. He has a job. He does do it, he goes to this thing, and of course that's all about seeing the developing photos, images, imagery, films, etc. And and going back to what I mentioned way earlier about the whole profiling thing is that it's not just explaining. Like the movie doesn't just verbally say like, you know, he was abused as a kid and so he turned out this way. You see in his action like this guy is just a human. He's not, to use your word. He, as I think audiences or even um what's the word? Investigators would think in the past, a monster. It's like he's just a guy. He's just a guy who has some pretty severe issues, but like those are not like magic. They're from his experience, his
Yeah.
and dude, first of all, Joan Allen is absolutely incredible in this film. Of course, Mann is always kind of a little bit like his movies are about dudes and his blah blah blah. I think Molly, meaning Will's wife, and Reba, Jonah Allen in this film are in absolutely incredible, and there's such subtle character stuff in like just the way that they like kind of look. Like Reba, she says something to Dollar, like I like your I like the way that you speak like plainly and to the point, and like you have a confidence in your voice. She can't see that this guy is probably fucking terrified every moment of his life because
Yeah, right.
existence is is hard for him. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
says, I wrote down this quote. This is before they go out. She goes, you speak very well, although you avoid fricatives and sibilants, which of course are words that only Michael Mann has ever written into a script. And I had to look them up. I didn't even know what these words were. Fricatives refer to consonant sounds, and sibilants refer to high pitched consonant sounds. And then I just wrote a note, both about how air moves through your mouth, creating a sharp hissing or buzzing noise. Now, sure, of course, that's a Michael Mann thing because he's like the ultra detail guy, but because she's blind, her other senses are heightened. So she would notice that or recognize that. And that's such an incredible character thing where it's like I don't even know what the words are, but I understand what they mean to her,
Right.
right?
I think the only other time I hear that word is when Tom Hanks did it on SNL.
Which the
Or
fricative,
sibilant,
oh
like he
sibilants, oh yeah.
Yeah, like
um
you said, she's incredible in this movie, and especially when things turn, like how terrified she is. And then you really feel for her because, she's just like hiding in corners of the house and she can't see shit, and you see how mad she's getting and everything. But also to get to that point, and what we're saying too is I love that moment because they have such a beautiful night together, and he's like, yeah.
well,
Does he say he's like I'd like to stop by or something sometime, and she says yes. So he's immediately already just lurking outside of her house, like waiting for her. And then the other guy who we already meet in that one scene when he's like, when he ends up giving her the ride home for, them to have this whole night with the tiger happens and then the whole night that they have. Um that guy literally is going to blow a an eyelash or grab an eyelash out of her
Po-
face. But
pollen,
what? Oh,
pollen. It's not. It's like
pollen.
not even anything. It's just pollen, like landed on her cheek or something.
Oh, okay, right, pollen. So, but it shows you how he sees the world, and it shows you like his rage and like what he thinks is happening, and then it literally is like he's just like, oh, you have something here, but he sees them, and it like the lighting changes, and like they're making out, and then he rips the fucking dashboard. Heartbeat, heartbeat, listen to my heartbeat.
That
Um,
that's not the song at that moment, but that song rules. That's at the end. The song at that moment is called "Strong as I Am."
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And that exactly putting you in the subjective perspective of Dollarhide in that moment
Yeah.
is what Will's whole journey is, because by the end of the movie, he has to almost see how Dollarhide is seeing the world, like literally and figuratively. That's a great moment. I love it. Yeah, he rips the like the dashboard,
Yeah, dude,
whatever,
he
not linoleum, but whatever,
just rips it back. It's so good. Yeah, when
and then
with
he
that.
just kills the guy. Hey, he's like, hey,
Yeah,
I didn't see you outside of work or whatever. He just pop pop, like
I
it's
know.
fucking crazy, man.
And he's just like Francis, is that his name? He's like
Yeah,
Francis is no
Francis.
longer with us anymore, or whatever he says.
That's right. Well, yes, exactly. Okay, he kills the guy, then he goes
Yeah,
into the apartment, he knocks,
and then takes her.
and he goes, "It's me." And she goes, "Francis?" And this is, I think, a really key thing, because at this point, so Dollarhide's whole thing is that he's like transforming into the red dragon, this like other thing, like this thing that's like seen by God and like all this stuff. But he says, "No, it's me." And she says, "Francis again?" And he says, "No, Francis is gone forever."
Yeah, forever.
And that's when he takes her back for like the whole
And he
the whole
takes her.
finale thing.
And that's clearly where he just loses it, where I feel like he, for the most part he's like on top of it and everything, and then that's just like sloppy, like because he's so angry.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dollarhide's on top of it.
Well, I feel like, whatever he's up until that point where he hasn't been caught, and like Will,
Right, right,
Will
right.
gets him because of the powder on the thing, but he's like, you touched her, didn't you? You had to touch her without the glove or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like there he's obviously a little sloppy, but they don't end up getting anything from that, I don't think. Um, but that's what, but this rage that's inside of him, like this isn't a calculated murder now. Like he just literally goes and kills that guy in the front of this person's house, like no nothing on, like just himself, gun, like kills him and goes and kidnaps her. Like so, like
right,
it's
right.
not like all the other things that he's planned up until that point. So that's where I say he got
Well,
sloppy.
yeah, yeah. I understand. Just to go back to like the whole date. First of all, that's a real tiger. That's not, you know, that's not a puppet. Like that was a real tiger, which is just like a totally insane thing to do. Also, she's like stroking like the beast that can kill her, and he's behind her, like kind of like Phil Hoffman and Happiness a little bit, like he's seeing, and I just so that and then and how fucking creepy is it that he's watching the film of the next victims while she's sitting next to him having no idea. I think she says, "What are you watching?" He says something like
Homework.
homework. Yeah, right, exactly. It's so creepy. And then I am of the opinion, I don't know if this is canon or confirmed or is meant to be totally uh clearly conveyed. I think I think that's the first time Francis has ever had sex in his
Probably.
in his in
Mm,
his life.
that would make sense. Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's why he cries. Again, that's to the empathy, to the
Well, wait, his name's not Francis.
Yeah, Francis Dollarhide.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah. I guess I just got it mixed up. I thought that other guy that he kills. I no, yeah, yeah. No,
It's
that
a yeah, it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
But I think the reason he cries is because he it's all oh, man, I mean, I don't know. You can interpret it a few different ways, but I mean, I think he's feeling like almost like a shame about his life. He's like, oh, maybe in some other reality, another dream. We haven't even talked about the whole dream stuff, but in another dream of like his life, he could have been a quote normal person in a normal relationship. And this is like a glimpse into what that could have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so shattering. Oh God. And then she walks outside. She's in the sunlight. I wrote down the line. She clearly does not know where she is, and I mean, she knows where she is, but she doesn't see the skittering TV in the corner and all of his weird posters and decorations and all this stuff about like the galaxy and the moon and all this other stuff. But he says it's because you look so good in the sun, which is the thing that he's obsessed with. That's what the red dragon is. It's the
Yeah.
a woman bathed in the glow of the sun or something. I'm paraphrasing, but so
Well,
it's so good.
yeah. What a movie.
Yes.
Um Incredible 40 years of this movie already too, which is insane. And oh, and we didn't even bring up Stephen Lang, who I still just like even watching it, I go, how the fuck is that Stephen Lang?
Yeah. Can I do a couple quotes? And then if you want to wrap it up or whatever, that's cool.
Let's go.
Okay. I love when Will he says our boy doesn't read New York Times literary supplement. He reads Lowndes and the Tattler, this like rag or whatever. I'm working the evidence, making moves, Will. Uh how does working on this case affect to go to Lang? How does working on this case affect your sex life? Mine, it doesn't affect mine, it affects yours. Go fuck yourself. Um, there's a great line when they're figuring out like the what's the word? Not the bust. Like the sting operation when the guy later runs into
Oh
the cop like hands him up like a bag of bullets and like explains what they are and he goes guaranteed one shot stop. So good.
yeah.
Once they plant the photo of Will with Lang in the newspaper, so Francis can identify where they are. There's a crazy shot where it's handheld and it like tilts down to like the stack of newspapers. A hand comes in, cuts the newspaper like binding, and this is what the headline reads on the newspaper: Medical stunner. Woman gives birth to healthy baby 6 hours after death in plane crash. Printed in huge. Blah, blah, blah. Time is luck, Will. That's wild if he cut that.
That is insane that he
that's
cut that since
that's
that's such a
unfortunate.
carrying line and theme through his whole career.
In that sting operation, when they tackle the jogger and the back of the sting van opens up, printed on the outside, it says Doc Lewis Fish Company. I don't know. I just thought that was cool. Um, I also love when they grab the guy, the black guy that's running. He goes, what are you moving in slow motion, man? I'm being mugged." And like
Yeah.
literally seconds earlier, all of the footage of him running is in slow motion. I thought that was an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
That line's
Um,
great. That definitely got a lot of laughs.
Uh, before me, you are a slug in the sun. You are privy to a great becoming, and you recognize nothing. You're an ant in the afterbirth. It is in your nature to do one thing correctly. Tremble, but fear is not what you owe me. No, Lowndes, you and the others, you owe me awe. Incredible little monologue.
Dude.
Save yourself, kill them all.
Was Tom Noonan nominated, and why wasn't he?
I don't I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
Oh
because
my
they're probably like, we can't do that. Uh,
God.
but he's
Will is looking out at the rain, touching the glass. He says it's just you and me now, sport. But who's he talking to in that scene?
mm,
Himself.
yeah,
Because it cuts into a reflect, it's only his reflection. And of
yeah.
course he is, talking to Dollarhide in his head or whatever, but visually he's talking to himself because the scene prior he tells Molly, I have to be alone now. And from then on out, he only wears all black. He's only in silhouette. He's talking to himself. He's talking to the darkness inside himself, in my opinion.
That's no, that's amazing.
Lecter says we don't invent our natures; they're issued to us with our along with our lungs and pancreas and everything else. Um, and then this is really the thing that will kind of, I suppose, wrap it up. But when Will essentially has like the revelation in the hotel room, and the dialogue, and you excuse me, and you need a bolt cutter, and every other goddamn thing. Because everything with you is seeing, isn't it? Your primary sensory intake that makes your dream live is seeing reflections, mirrors, images. You've seen these films, haven't you, my man? I fucking love that. It's so good. But that sums up the whole thing. The whole movie is like Will staring out windows. And every time you see him staring out a window, you see the reflection of himself. Because it's like an interior journey, really. And then what does he do at the finale of the film when he meets the monster inside? Monster inside smashes through the window he's been looking through the whole film.
The whole goddamn film.
And
Anna got a DeVita.
oh my God, dude, Mann had talked about the reason he chose that song. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but as many Michael Mann behind the scenes stories go, he was talking to a guy in prison and it was about a guy who was like obsessed. I think, I don't know, he killed his girlfriend or something like that. But it was because, or not because, but to this guy's perspective, their like song, when you're in a relationship, like sometimes people have their song for like the couple. This real life guy's song for their relationship was Inagata Davida. And that's why he puts it in at the end of the film, because it's about dreams, it's about minds. Speaking of songs, Heartbeat, awesome. Red Seven, a band I didn't know. The first line of that song, can you guess? Can you guess what it is? I'll tell you. I can hear your heartbeat knocking on the window. This whole thing is about windows and like looking at stuff. It's amazing, man. I don't think that is a coincidence at all.
And
Like
the
I'm, I'm,
reflection, the mirror,
yes,
and Noonan
yes,
shatters a mirror.
Mhm.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, that
Bu- bu-
song
bu-
got
bu-
a big laugh out of my crowd the
Oh.
other night.
Oh,
So,
I got to laugh. Oh,
well,
Um, when Graham, after the whole shootout with Dollarhide, he saves Reba, Joan Allen. She says, "Who are you?" His final line as a professional in the film, Graham, I'm Will Graham, which is a little bit why that extra scene feels weird, because that seems like a confirmation of like I've done this thing. I'm like I am myself again, and that extra scene is like, is he?
yeah,
And
that's true.
then, yeah, the ending on the beach is just amazing. I mentioned the turtle thing earlier. They're building the thing to make the turtle hatch for all of them to survive. The kid says, "How many of them survived?" He says, "Most of them," because he's like achieved his goal, but like, he clearly has damage, psychological damage, but and physical damage. And then I just love that thing where Molly, again, not like a ton of scenes, but she just like kind of like covers her face, and it's really, I don't know, I find it like really moving. Uh her performance in that moment, and I don't know. And then their hearts beat and they stare at the ocean, which is freedom and love and whatever.
And whatever. Michael Mann, that's what it is. All right, well, it's definitely over an hour. 40th anniversary,
Yes.
Manhunter. At least it's almost a half hour shorter than the Miami Vice episode. That's for all six of you. I really hope there's six of you. Styles, thanks once again for coming on the 40th anniversary of the Manhunter. For us, the final cut, but for you, theatrical, for you out there, whatever you want, It'd be great if the final cut came with everything, and you know it's not going to.
Yeah, I mean we'll see what the disc has if they have multiple editions,
Yeah.
but I don't know, they might have to
I'm
like license a bunch of them or
yeah,
something.
I'm gonna buy it, but also I might have to look for that Hannibal Lecter Legacy Blu-ray. All right, Styles, thanks
Yeah,
for coming. Last words.
yeah. Thank you for letting me riff, and I like talking to you guys about Michael Mann, and yeah, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, man. Uh, Manhunter's a phenomenal movie, and it just I mean, like, we're gonna talk about it, and I honestly, I think we talked about a lot, and I think we hit a lot of the corners and the nooks and crannies even of this story, and it's why it's so great to this day. 40 years later, is gonna keep living on because it's a phenomenal fucking masterpiece. Mr. Cleveland Film, what do you got?
I clearly sometimes I guess I don't take down as many quotes or memorize as many quotes when watching movies like you two do. It makes me feel like I can't retain because I see so much, I guess. But I enjoyed listening to you both, so it made me appreciate this movie more.
Well, that's good. That's why we're here. We're here to spread the word of Mr. Michael Mann. And that's right. Right, Styles.
That's that's right, Doug.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. 40th anniversary Manhunter. Get it, own it.
You're not gonna